Hi, this is my 74 914 2-liter. I've had it for 20 years. I probably have had it on the road for about 18. It took me about 2 years to restore it. And it's got a lot of miles on it. It doesn't sit in my garage much during the summer. I drove it a lot. And just recently I've had a lot of trouble with the synchronizers, especially first gear. Clutch didn't seem to be engaging smoothly like it should. And I already planned to pull transmission out to repair those things. And then just the other day, I had it out for a ride, and the motor started making a noise. Okay, a loud clicking noise on the left bank. I think maybe in the rear right here. So I got to pull the tranny apart. I got to pull the motor apart and see what happened. It does have some miles on it, so something wore out, something broke. I'm thinking on the engine, maybe a drop valve seat, because they're notorious for those. That's never happened to me in all the 914s that I've owned and driven, but I guess my luck has maybe run out. If it's a drop valve seat, that's not such a big deal. I got lots of 2-liter heads sitting around. I'll just put another one on. If it's something more serious, then I'll just start getting into it and tear it down. But over the next week or so, I'll be working on this, every couple of days, and I'll let you know what happens. And we'll see once I get everything apart and get into the guts of everything, just what happened to this motor and tranny. Well, as you can see, I have removed the transmission from the engine. So maybe I can see what's going on with this clutch. And really, all the components are really fairly new. As you can see, the logo is not even worn off yet. I'm not sure if you can pick up this in a video, but if you look at it closely, all the wear is around the outside edge of the clutch disc. And on the inside, there's no wear at all. So, what that tells me is, when I had that flywheel resurfaced years ago, it wasn't done properly. Because if it had been, you should have even wear all around the disc, and you don't. So that's why it just never really engaged properly. Been giving me fits for quite a while. So I'll have to dig up another one of my flywheels out of my stock of parts and see if I can find one that's been resurfaced properly. You see here, there's no wear, a little bit of rust or clutch dust here, and all the wear is on the outside edge. This is the flywheel side. Pressure plate's in pretty good shape. I don't think there'll be any other issues with reusing that. It's not that old either. It was new at one time. On this side, the wear is much more even, as you can see. All the way across, even wear. So the other thing I'll do is pop the flywheel off. This now a paperweight. And I'll probably just pitch it. I'll get to the transmission later, because what I'm really concerned about is why this engine was making so much noise on this bank. I'm going to continue to tear that apart. When I'm about to take the head off, I'll run some more video. If you look at this, I'm not sure if it shows up. You can see the flywheel is real shiny here, where it's been hitting all the time. You can almost feel the difference. It's high on the outside and low on the inside. So the clutch hasn't been touching here at all. All the wear is on the outside of the diameter of the clutch, where the clutch would ride. Wow. Who could ever imagine? That's a shame. Alright, on to other things. Well, I've gotten this far, and I'm looking for the smoking gun. That's what has been making so much noise when this thing was running. You know, you can actually see the valve seats if you look in the ports, the intakes and the exhaust. You can turn around till the valve is open, and usually if the valve seat is popped loose, there's some indication of that. You'll see something in there that looks like something's come apart. I didn't find any of that. So I kept looking around once I pulled the rockers off, and look at that. Should be nice and smooth on the tip like this one. And it's got a big divot in it. That's the intake valve. I am not sure how that happened because these valves were brand new. But you know what? Brand new doesn't mean good. I'm not sure where I bought these valves. I don't remember, to tell you the truth. It was a little ways back. But the rest of them are fine. Just this one. So the head's got to come off regardless, whether the seats are loose or not, because I'll definitely have to change this valve. I would say it's probably just not hardened, right? You would think so. The valve adjusters are OEM German, and that's the one that goes out of intake, and really nothing unusual about it. These German ones usually last quite a while without any issues. So I assumed the problem was here. So next step, pull the head off, see what I find in there. Well, I got the head off. Nothing unusual in here that I can see right away. I will pull those pistons and cylinders. Check the wrist pins, connecting rods, anything else might be out of whack. Unlikely. Those are actually Molly European spec flat top pistons. You can't buy those anymore. I probably bought these 20 years ago. At a reasonable price too. Anyways, I will pull that apart and see if there's any more issues on there. The cylinder head itself, really didn't find anything unusual here. I will pull all the valves, check the valve seats. Of course, I'll replace the one that is all gouged out on top. I did notice I've had exhaust leak on my heat exchangers. Those stainless steel heat exchangers sometimes are very difficult to get to seal. So I will address that problem when the time comes. Didn't find any other issues with these heads. They were pretty good, pretty nice heads when I installed them. They were in pretty good shape. And it still look clean, you know. Something about changing oil, you know, it keeps the sludge out. But this has got me baffled. And that's going to be a throwaway. I think I still got some new valves around. Hope they're not the same brand as these. I'll have to make sure. I think that's it for now. Once I pull the cylinders, pull all the valves, and I will record some more. We'll see what else I find. I hope nothing else. I hope this is it. Well, so far I've changed both the intake valves on this head. This is the one, of course, that came apart at the top. And I'm thinking it just was a defective valve. You know, those things happen. Not hardened correctly, maybe. And the other valve had the same part number, so I pulled it out and I changed them both. I don't want to do this more than once. I pulled the exhaust valve from this cylinder because I told you I had exhaust leaks in both corners of its head. And on this one, you can see right here, at some point somebody took a center punch and pounded it in there, probably to get the sealing ring out of it, because they do get stuck. And of course now it's all deformed, and that's responsible for a leak on this side, I'm sure. And as you can see, I got a small crack here where the exhaust stud goes in, but it stops right there. And I think I'll just live with that. I got some stuff coming from JB Weld. It's super high temperature something or other, and I'm gonna try to reform this and flatten it out so the surface is uniform all the way through here, because if I don't, there's no way I'm going to get that sealed with that copper washer. I do anneal those copper washers before I put them in. Put them on a flat piece of steel, heat them up till they're red hot, and then let them cool. They tend to soften them up and they seal a little bit better, especially with the stainless steel heat exchangers, because the sealing surface is not that big on those. I've had this trouble before. I'm surprised I didn't notice this the first time I put this head together. Maybe I thought it wasn't going to be an issue, but as it turned out, yeah, it really is. This one, the other exhaust port, is in pretty good shape. I think it'll seal back up again if I'm careful about what I do with that one. So that's where I'm at on the head. I'm still waiting for this material to arrive tomorrow, and when I get that done, I'll let you know how that worked out. Went through my stacks of flywheels. I got plenty of them. Found these two as candidates to replace the one that was in there that wasn't machined properly. Out of the two, this one has the most meat on it. You can measure this little drop off right here. The thinner it is here, the more material has been taken off this over time. And it looks like to be in really good shape. So I think I'm going to go with this one. This one had been recently machined, but it's got a little less meat left on it. So it's kind of a judgment call. They would both work. I think I'm going to go with this one. So I'm going to get this installed, and of course I got a new pilot bearing and new felt washer while I'm at it. I already had that stuff. And get the flywheel on, and after I get this exhaust port repaired, I can put this head back together, put the valve back in it. Well, that's where I'm at now. I didn't see any other issues with the engine. Wrist pins, there's no slop in anything. The pistons are in perfect condition. So I think that was the whole issue. The little clackety clack clack all came from this. Once I get these two things done, I'm going to have to wait for parts. I don't have enough gaskets to put everything back together. They're on the way. So I think after that, I'm going to disassemble the transmission. I know it has issues, and we'll see what I find in there.